news make the headline.
On the highlight, military plans another Python dance. Ex-minister returns to U.S.
The persons behind the headline.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
We have a vision for New India, and that is the foundation that will launch us into a more progressive state tomorrow.
And your reactions to the headline.
Mr. Speaker, which level? As reported last week, under his government, 40 million Nigerians are now mad. As reported by his government. So maybe next level, one of us will be completely mad.
My own is that the fake promise that he used to deceive Nigeria. This time around, we are waiting for him.
Do you want to keep tabs with trending national, state, or local issues? Then listen to Open Parliament every weekday on Family Love 99.9 FM. Omahia. Open Parliament, when the issues are burned.
Well, I told you that the man is confused. The man doesn't know a direction. He failed because he was unprepared. You cannot get something from nothing. So they are just trying to find somebody to blame for the failure. So they failed and failed mostly.
When the security situation of a state or a nation gets to the point where the number one citizen is being threatened to be abducted by bandits, terrorists, whatever name you want to call them, what should the citizens do? Should they just fold their arms and stay doing nothing? What exactly should they do? And that's because if you've been keeping tabs on what's happening in the country, the troops of the 7th Guards Brigade, which provide security for the presidential villa and the federal capital territory, have been attacked by gunmen suspected to be terrorists. Well, they were ambushed in the late hours of Monday while on patrol along the Kobo-Abuari Road in the nation's capital. Well, a spokesperson for the Guards Brigade, Captain Godfrey Anebiabapa, confirmed the incident to newsmen. Well, he did this yesterday. Well, a very good morning to you, beautiful people. And not so swell a time as far as security situation in the country, as we welcome you to Open Parliament live on the frequency situate right here in the capital of Abia State, Umuahia. You know how we do every Wednesdays and every other day on Open Parliament, we get to bring you the biggest stories both in the country and beyond, and do a perspective, sometimes bring in analysts to do perspectives to this and then have you react to those big stories. We're going to do that this morning, and with me to do that is a recipient of Zix Award on Innovation and Creativity, a fellow of Ethical Leadership from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Board of Trustee member of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, Interpol consultant and security expert, Sir Chikwe Udensi. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Open Parliament this morning.
Good morning, Mr. C. Very trying times for the country. Very, very trying times.
Yeah, absolutely so. Absolutely. Well, my name is Mr. C. Welcome. I don't forget we're going to do this till 10 a.m. Oh, well, needless to ask if you have been following this story, because I'm very, very sure you must have been, with the troops of the 7th Guards Brigade, which, like I said earlier, provide security for the presidential villa in the Federal Capital Territory, being attacked by gunmen suspected to be terrorists. Well, the report says that they were ambushed in the late hours of Monday while on patrol along the Kubwa-Buari Road in the nation's capital. Well, the latest attack comes a day after the terrorists who kidnapped train passengers on the Abuja-Kaduna Rail on March 28 released quite a sad video. Only the new clip, which went viral on Sunday, that threatened to abduct Presidents Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Nasser El-Rufai of Kaduna State, as well as other top government officials. Well, the attack also came less than a month after terrorists invaded the Medium Security Custodial Center, Kuje, in the FCT and freed all Boko Haram terrorist suspects in custody alongside other inmates. Well, the terrorists have also threatened to launch massive attacks on the nation's capital. But on Monday, the federal government, following that, ordered the closure of colleges and federal government schools located in the area. Well, not so good a development coming from the FCT with regards to security. Reports saying about 8 soldiers were killed in the said attack, some saying 2 or thereabout. What can you tell us about it?
Thank you very much, Mr. C. We have a very troubling situation in the country. That does not mean it was not there before. That does not also mean that we have not been warning about this imminent danger. But we are having it before us right now. Mr. C, for the past 4 days, a coalition of security experts in the country have been meeting. We've been meeting to analyze the situation and find ways, because we have intelligent information as to what is happening right now and the much that is about to happen. We informed security agencies that there is imminent danger, enormous danger that we are facing. This was as a result of the release of, according to the government, about 1,000 Boko Haram criminals from the Kuje prison. But the records we have is that the number is a lot more than that. But the important thing, Mr. C, is that 65 of the commanders of these Boko Haram criminals were involved in those that were released from Kuje prison. So they have reorganized themselves within the territory, the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory. They have reorganized themselves and they are ready to unleash some serious mayhem in the FCT. Abuja is not safe. In fact, an AIT reporter, Mr. Benga, from Life Camp, indicated the movement of so many men on motorcycles. Freely within the FCT area. If you see these men on motorcycles, you see about 100 to 200 motorcycles moving. And nobody is intercepting them. Nobody is trying to take some precautionary measures. So what do you expect? Yes, Mr. C, we have a record of about 8. From what I saw from the clip this morning, it's about 6 to 8 persons that were killed by this ambush that happened in the Kubwa area. The important thing here, Mr. C, is that we are talking about the degree of guards. We're talking about the elite security team that guides the police, that guides the president. So when we attack and kill those who are guarding the president, then where lies the safety of the president or in fact anybody in the country? They have threatened openly. They have said openly that they're going to not just attack Mr. President, they are going to kidnap Mr. President. And they also mentioned that they were also going to kidnap Malam El Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State. And they also said they're going to also take some higher members of the legislature. So it's everywhere is threatened. Everywhere is hyped up. But the question we are asking is this. Is it not now time for the law enforcement agencies to take the bull by the horn? Why can we see a situation where some men were seen in motorcycles, reported by AIT, Mr. Bengapa of the AIT, reported that these men were seen and they were looking suspicious. Nobody intercepted these men. Nobody raised the level of security to the red level where they ought to be taken care of. This is exactly where we are, Mr. C. It is very saddening. The suburb of the FCP, the suburb cities, we understand are highly tensed up. There is a daily kidnapping of individuals in these areas, Kubwa area and the adjoining suburbs. And also we understand that they can take measures to ensure that there are enough security apparatus. The security indices must be on the display everywhere at the FCT. It is not there. Nobody is seeing anything. Rather, the federal government decided to close the federal colleges. The federal colleges are all closed right now. In fact, most of the private institutions have followed suit.
Now, the question that would follow, I mean, particularly with that position by the federal government to close those schools and colleges, is the federal government helpless? Because, I mean, besides this attack, we mentioned the Kuje invasion. We understand that there were intelligence reports, about more than 20 intelligence reports with regards to that particular attack, and also attacks that have happened in time past. But the security agencies could still not repel these attacks. Have we gotten to that position where we would say the security agencies are now helpless?
Well, I do not know what else to call it. If you ask me, I don't want to sound pessimistic. I don't want to say that we are totally helpless. But what other language can I use? How do I properly, if I have to be an honest security consultant, a systems consultant of Interpol, how would I explain to 195 countries of the world that are hooked on to the systems in Nigeria, how would I explain to them the situation? Would you want me to lie? The situation is getting out of hand. The law enforcement agencies appears to be, to a large extent, helpless. Otherwise, how do you see a situation where 2 weeks ago, Mr. C, the president's convoy going to Katsina was ambushed and attacked? The fatality was not much because they were all in the armored vehicles. They are protected in the armored vehicles. But unfortunately, the divisional police officer, or the area commander, the area commander of Busima, was not fortunate enough. He was mowed down, a young officer, an assistant commissioner of police. He was killed. Well, what we have in Abuja right now is a frightening situation. If there are information, if there is security information that we have cited men in motorcycles, which appears to be the characteristics of the Boko Haram sect. They go in motorcycles, and sometimes in clear view of the public. And the question lies, was the security we have be the ones that stop commercial vehicles to collect money from them? Don't we have the security that ensures that if there are threats, especially to the extent to which we have it right now, can't they respond positively? We had this meeting yesterday, Mr. C. 28 of us, security experts in the country, we sat down and we drafted a very strong letter to the president. We drafted a strong letter to the DSS. And well, after all, a few members of retired DSS members are also in our membership. And we said, we cannot allow this. Otherwise, the whole place will be engulfed with total insecurity. We are saying that this is a big problem. I have about 4 very intelligent analogs of the situation we have right now. And if we do not allow a situation where there is solid and proper presence of security forces in Abuja area, then the case might be engulfed and everybody is afraid. This is the situation right now, Mr. C. I don't want to paint colors. I don't want to call things by the names they are not. The true situation right now in Abuja is that if a Daniel does not come to judgment, if there's no proper security arrangement, if there's no proper apparatus put in place, Abuja might be one of the cities in Borno State.
I mean, with the recent attacks carried out by these bandits, terrorists, call them whatever name you would want, you could tell that these guys are now emboldened. What could be the reason? Some analysts have blamed it on what they call proliferation of light or small arms, if you like. And some have said, apparently, we have a porous security architecture. Maybe those in the security architecture who are serving as informants to these bandits. Some have actually blamed it as well on the resolve of the federal government to clamp down on the said terrorist. Where can we point our fingers on? Or could it be that in situations where citizens are kidnapped, where we get to hear ransom amounting to humongous sums of about hundreds of millions of naira, could be where they get their resources to be able to fund the purchase of these arms to get them emboldened? Where exactly can we put our fingers on?
We have to put our fingers on everything, Mr. C. We have to put our fingers on everywhere. In fact, one of the biggest businesses today is terrorism. It's a big business. If you kidnap, if tomorrow I kidnap Mr. C, I'm sure to get millions of naira from friends and families of Mr. C, without any interception of the security forces. It is very frightening. Mr. C, so a few months ago, I had one of my staff attacked on the highway, and less than a kilometer from where he was attacked, we had the military checkpoint. He was able to manage his vehicle because the tires were all gone. He was able to manage his vehicle to the location where the military were and reported in a very hasty manner, look at what is happening to me. He said he was shocked and surprised the attitude of the military at the checkpoint. There was no situation of anxiety. There was no situation of breach of security. No. The military boys were relaxed, as if nothing has happened. So one begins to wonder, what is the problem? We have identified a few problems earlier, and we have advised government, especially in the area of provision of proper tools and welfare. If you remember my various discussions on this program, let's say, I have kept emphasizing on the non-availability of tools for security. And I also emphasized on welfare. You cannot expect any level of patriotism from somebody who is very hungry, who cannot meet family needs, who cannot meet the feeding needs of his family. What level of patriotism do you expect from him? In fact, what you should expect from him is frustration. But one other area, Mr. C, that has bothered us so much, one other area that we have had enormous concern. If you remember a few years ago, when government decided to pardon some of the repentant Boko Haram terrorists, you remember? Some of the program of government, we understand, was to absorb them into the society. They have repented. We have to debrief them and absorb them into the society. We can see, we heard that some of them entered into the armed forces. We heard that some of them entered into the armed forces. If we are going to take a repentant Boko Haram into the armed forces, I don't know what you expect to get from them. Do you expect to get from them loyalty or patriotism? Do you expect to get from them service to the nation? No. What we are saying today are a bunch of a conglomeration, a collection of so many things, Mr. C. A collection of so many problems we have gotten ourselves into, not taking the advice of security experts who kept warning. We are going to send our warning again today. By the time it is completely typed up, we are sending it to the law enforcement agencies, we are sending it to the presidency, and we are sending it to the judiciary and to the legislature. We are saying that we are sitting on very serious cakes of gunpowder, and which will explode very soon. We are saying that the country must be properly secured. We have enough security agencies in the system. Yes, we talked about the proliferation of light arms and weapons. Yeah, we are aware that most of these things started when the armory of Libya was looted. I did give you information here some time ago that with the looting of Libya's armory, and you can see the proximity of Libya, you see the proximity of Libya to Nigeria. Libya's armory was looted in the hundreds of millions of arms and ammunition. And where else from Libya, where else do you see the valuable market for those arms and ammunition? Nigeria. Which other country in this sphere can afford to provide to buy those arms and ammunition? Nigeria. So Libya's arms and ammunition, coupled with the fact that our borders are totally porous, the porosity of our borders enhanced the need, they enhanced the prospect of those arms and ammunition coming into the country. So when they came into the country, the next thing is use these arms for money. And once you have arms and money together, it's a very volatile arrangement. Very volatile, Mr. C. So we have to put our fingers in almost everywhere to ensure that we stop this carnage. It's going to engulf the nation soon if we don't take time.
Now, my next question, it's a question I have put across to you a couple of times, but it seems there's no solution inside. But again, what can be the quick fix, if there is any, and then what do you think can be the permanent solution to this? Because as we speak, just this morning, it's been Wash Media Space that the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has placed all its state commands on alert following intelligence reports that Boko Haram terrorists, as well as those of Islamic West Africa province, ISWAP, have heightened plots to attack not just the nation's capital and 5 other states, including Lagos, Kaduna, and the likes. Yet again, we've got this intelligence report, and going by precedent, I'm afraid, can we repel this too? What could be the quick fix solution?
Yes, we have proposed 2 lined up solutions, Mr. C. One we call the immediate one, and one is the long-term one. Mr. C, you know I will restrict myself to those information that the public ought to know. There's also some information that cannot be made public. But the ones that you ought to know is that we are asking the government to quickly provide incentives. What do I mean by incentives? As we talk right now, there are some benefits, salaries, and some annuities that have not been paid to military officers. Law enforcement agents, not just the military officers. So, you see that most of them cannot meet the basic needs we have today. I do not know if you realize that the bread that used to sell for 200 naira is now about 1,000 naira. Do you realize that, Mr. C?
Oh, yes, sadly so.
Mr. C, do you also realize also that if you have 100,000 and going to the market, you come out with some waterproof bags, a few of them, that does not justify that amount. So what it simply means, Mr. C, is that our income is not equidistant to inflation. We have an enormous inflationary situation that has engulfed the economic sphere right now. If that is the position, a responsible government ought to adjust income, adjust benefits to reflect the problem we have with inflation. If inflation is going up and income is coming down, it's a very volatile situation. It can cause all kinds of problems. So mostly, more importantly, the morale, the enthusiasm, the patriotism of the law enforcement agents in our country today is at the lowest ebb. And you see, a frustrated man cannot be patriotic. Nobody wants to put his head where there's danger. For a country that will not stand up for you when you need them. That is the position. So these are the immediate ones we are asking government to do. Do this immediately. The other long-term ones we're also asking them to do, especially in the area of recruitment of military personnel, recruitment of law enforcement personnel. There must be proper background check, effective proper background check. Today, you know that there are no more armed robbery per se. No. Armed forces, many in the armed forces are known to have gotten themselves involved in some robbery cases. If a man is formally given arms and asked to guard his nation, and then that man is a criminal, what do you expect me to say? We are not doing enough in ensuring that we have the minimum of responsible people in our system. If you don't have those checks and balances, and you also go ahead to employ people who are known to be hardened criminals, people who are going to be living in forests, and whose job is to kill, people who do not get bothered when they see blood. No. In fact, they get happy when they see blood. If you take them into the military, what do you expect, Mr. C? What do you expect? That is the problem we have in the country today. And if we do not take time, the place will be sizably engulfed in crisis. That is where we are.
Yeah, we'll be going for a break shortly, right? But before we do that, quite a sad situation coming from the security angle. But away from that, but some persons will want to argue that what we're going to talk about has a little ripple effect on the security of the nation as well. And that's because yesterday the Nigeria Labour Congress embarked on a 2-day protest. It promised to register its displeasure over the lingering ASU strike and other issues affecting the country, including security. What do you make of this? Do you think this would move the hands of the federal government to stick to the 2000 agreement, particularly with ASU?
Well, like you know, Mr. C, this is just a 2-day warning strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress to support and back the demand of ASU for a quick solution to the problem we have. Let me ask you something, Mr. C. Let me ask Nigerians something. Do we require all these to let government do the needful? Do we require all these level of carnage problems in the society before we can do what we ought to do? That is what we are talking about. That as much as we have to talk about these problems, find ways to maybe discuss them to suit the public, the question is there nobody responsible for this? Why must we continue to elect people who are so insensitive to the societal problems? Mr. C, the Nigerian Labour Congress have joined. You saw what happened in Abia also, and also at the FCT level. The Federal Capital Territory was also engulfed. Lagos was engulfed with strike. And we are told also that the next stage of this strike will involve a continuous, endless one. What is the problem, Mr. C? What is the problem that cannot be solved? What is the problem we cannot find solutions to? The only two things they are asking for: improvement on their welfare and paying them what is equidistant to what is happening around the world, and also provision of the tools and infrastructure for learning in schools. Two things only. And moreover, part of these things have already been agreed upon by the various governments before this government took over. What problem does this country have? Especially if you consider how much government is spending on the other areas. if you consider what government ought to do and they're not doing, Mr. C, we have a big problem in our hands. Mr. President has left for Liberia, yesterday. And ironically, we are surprised to hear that Mr. President is going to lecture Liberians on security. That's an irony. It's ironical that your president will lead your country, a country that is engulfed in problems associated directly with insecurity, and you have no solutions, immediate solutions to it, and you are going to another country to go and lecture them on how to protect their own country.
Okay.
It is an aberration, and it's very ironical that that's what we're saying.
Open Parliament, live on the frequency, right here in the capital of Abia State, Umar here. As Chikwe Udensi is a guest virtually on the program this morning. My name is Mr. C. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. And when we return, we'll look at Abia State. And with education, we'll talk about the de-accreditation of the Abia State Polytechnic and get to party issues, politics. Do we still have Reverend Ihemere as the chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, Abia State? Stay with us.
Family Love FM.
The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV
because the Polytechnic had not shown any commitment to defray the backlog of arrears and ensure regular payment of salaries. You've seen this, haven't you, sir?
Of course, I've seen it. I'm not essentially disturbed or surprised because this has been the trajectory in Abia State. This has been the woeful story we have in Abia State among so many stories. Before now, Mr. C, you have also seen that the medical faculty, the College of Medicine, has been registered by the Nigerian Universities Commission, the national body that regulates the operation of universities in the country. Now we also have the Nigerian Board of Technical Education regulating or asking the Abia Poly to stop functioning as a polytechnic because of several deficiencies. I did do some little diligence with the report of NBTE, the Board of Technical Education. You shall see, it was not just the 30-month salary be owed. There is a numerous analysis and chronological analysis of the diminishing level of the academic program, from the quality of lecturers to the infrastructure and the tools for teaching. Technical education is not necessarily like the university. Technical education means that they are going to learn the area of practicality of their profession, or they are seeking to be part of. Necessarily, this is exactly what we have today. Let me not sound political. Let me not sound political by saying that, unfortunately, the man who ran part of the polytechnic and the university is whom PDP today is asking to come around the state. Let me not sound political, but it is true. I don't want it to look as though I'm trying to use a very serious situation to play politics. No. The truth remains that the man who spent a chunk of his career in these two institutions, one as a rector of the institution and the other one as a vice chancellor of the Abia State University, is who the government in place have chosen as their candidate to be elected in 2023. We shall see, we must have to become serious in this country. I mean, in Abia State, more importantly, the electorates must have to ensure that we come out of this quagmire. As much as you try to blame the leaders, it is also important to blame the followers. The followership is also as important as leadership. If you do not have good followers, you certainly cannot have good leaders. If we continue to do what we are doing today, a problem continues to exist.
Let's put a perspective on this, because we did have a statement released by officials of the government, not least the Commissioner for Information and Strategy. Matter of fact, he was on Open Parliament yesterday where he said emphatically that, hey, the government was able to fulfill its own obligation to the institution by dishing out subventions amounting to about 7.1 billion naira. And it did break that down on a monthly to about 78 months or thereabout, which amounted to 90 million plus to the institution. And he said, hey, by virtue of the law establishing the institution, they are meant to generate revenues to be self-sustaining. Is that tenable?
Well, let me be very forthright in a matter like this. Mr. C, what government does, what Abia State government does, not just Ibazu's government, it goes back to a little part of what is Carlos' tenure, but essentially T.A. Oji's tenure. What government does is provide subvention to these institutions and ask them to internally generate their own revenue to run. But what government did not do, as I say from our investigation, is that there were no proper, what is it called again? There was no proper oversight functions as to what the real position ought to be. And you see, when you leave management of an institution to the hands of the incompetent, to the hands of the man who is simply interested in egoism, the tendency is that the institution goes down. What do I mean by that? Practically, ASETA, the Abia State College of Technical Education, is in my community, Chikwe. And I took time to find out what the problem was. The problem was that we did have a good management strategy for the institution. There was no proper management strategy for the institution. Employment in the institution was unguided and unregulated. At the time, Mr. C, there were more employees than students in the school. So in that circumstance, how do you expect revenue generated internally to fund the payment of the teachers or development of the infrastructure? Also, the Abia State Police in Aba, we did a little study to find out exactly what the problem was or what the problem is. Mr. C, it is not just to sit down and criticize government. What is the problem? How do we find solutions to the problem? Mr. C, what did we realize? We realized there were serious overbloated employment of staff beyond the resources, both internally generated revenue and also the subvention of the state to the institutions. You remember sometime even the governor himself said that at the gate of the Abia State College, there were registration of 60 security men. 60 gate men. 60 gate men were employed at one gate of the Polytechnic. How can you effectively manage that situation? That is why we condemn part of it to government. Because of government's inability to make sure that the oversight function of two departments, one, the Ministry of Education, and also the Cabinet Office. The Cabinet Office of the Abia State government did not do their job. The oversight function of the Ministry of Education was not effectively done. So there was a liberal and unguarded employment of workers without giving credence, without giving consideration to availability of funds to pay them. This was part of the problem we identified. So while we blame the government, we also blame those who were given the responsibility and trust to run the place and run it efficiently. They were not businessmen who should see the forces of push and pull in the availability of the money you have and the work you ought to do. If the work you ought to do is more than the availability of your funds, of course there will be gaps and lapses. This is exactly what we have in both APSU, Abia Police, and other tertiary institutions we have in Abia State. The government collapsed and the management of the institutions collapsed. They did not do their job. That is what created that average that had to do with non-payment of salaries.
Well, go to www.facebook.com/familylove99.9fm. It's Facebook. Drop your comments there. Well, before we have your reactions through the calls, I mean, we can't let this slide, should we? I mean, your own party, the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, you're a board of trustee member of the party, a chieftain of the party, obviously. Can I put this straight? Because a couple of the dailies have said, particularly one, the Sun newspapers put it this way: Abia dispute, Ukebo wins again at Court of Appeal. And the report says the Court of Appeal, Owerri Division, has dismissed the application brought by a Victor Ye faction of your party, requesting it to review her decision, affirming Prince Nana Ukebo as the substantive state chairman of your party in the state. Now, Prince Ukebo was said to have, he was the state chairman of the party prior to the 2015 general election when he was removed from office by then Chief Victor Ome, led APGA National Working Committee, in a manner he felt was not proper, the reason why he approached the court. Do you have details of this? Who exactly is the chairman of your party?
Thank you very much, Mr. C. You have to understand the problem very well. You have to understand the story. It was in 2015 that the then national chairman of the party, Chief Victor Ome, removed the state chairman of APGA, Mr. Chifuna Kebu as the chairman of the party in the state. Nanu Kebu went to court challenging the process of his removal. Before you can remove the chairman of the state, there's a process. If you don't take that process, it's a violation of the constitution of the party. So Kebu went to court and got, first of all, injunction and eventually a judgment against Ume to the effect that Ume didn't have the capacity to remove him as the chairman of the state without taking due process of the law. This was in 2015. But do not forget that since all this time we have had primaries, we have had conventions, we have had our congresses. This is what the party is saying at the national. The party is saying that this process has been overtaken by time. But UKB is saying no, judgment of court is still a judgment of court. I took out time to discuss with the national chairman of the party and also the deputy national chairman in charge of Southeast, who eventually is also from Abia State. I also spoke to the legal advisor of the party when this happened in 2015, and also the current legal advisor, to find out what the position of the law is and what the position of the party is. It is simple and clear. Yes, the court says Ukebu should not be removed, and Ukebu ought not to be removed, especially through the process by which he was removed. But the question that is here to be answered also by the law courts is, has it been overtaken by time? What is the position of the law? Are we going to do it retrogressively? But Mr. C, unfortunately, the legal advisor, the national legal advisor, took a very serious wipe on the state legal advisor, Mr. Meka Nwokolo. Mr. Meka Nwokolo went to court without the consent of the party. The second time he went to court, it was without the consent of the party. The legal advisor of the party was not aware. The national chairman was not fully briefed before he went to court. And also we are told that the processes he took were substandard. That's exactly what the legal advisor said. He didn't take the proper processes. That is what we are talking about, having quality personnel to run your office. If you must have to have monkeys, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. In this instance of the problem in Abia State, those who have handled the courts were maybe not sounding modest by saying that they were incompetent, but they didn't take the proper procedure in ensuring that the proper thing was done. So they went and woke a sleeping dog. They went and woke a dead lion. If you can put it in that perspective, they ought to have allowed it to remain where it is. If it has been overtaken by time, according to our legal experts, then why do you go to appeal court? You don't have to do that. If you have to go back to court, you needed the consent of the party. The state is not the party. The state ought not take the role they took. So that is exactly what the party is talking. The party is saying this young man didn't have authority to go back to court. We did not even know he went back to court.
Okay.
And that if he went back to court, he ought to have gone back to court with the proper procedure. He used a very long procedure in going back to court. So right now, we are waiting for the authorities. As you know, I'm only a BOT member. It is true that BOT is the highest ranking organ of the party, but we are waiting for the lawyers to decide what is the right position. Who ought to be the chairman? Well, you should also know, without sounding rhetorical, that if there's a need to remove the Yemere from there, you should also know that I'm one of those who will be glad to have him out. I would like to have him out of that place because of
why is that?
The incompetence he has. And I'm sorry.
Why is that? You want your chairman
out? Of course, Yemere is absolutely incompetent. But that is not what we are saying right now. We're not talking about his incompetence. We are talking about the legal procedure. Well, of course, Chikwe Udensi would like to have the Yemeni out of that place. He doesn't deserve to be the chairman of the state. He's absolutely incompetent, to say the least. But let's stop where we are. We are saying, what does the law say? What should be the appropriate thing for the law for us to take? That is where we are today. So my personal wish for Yemen to be out with stops it's secondary. The important thing is, what is the position of the law? What does the law say? Who is supposed to be the actual chairman? From that point, that's where we take it from.
Well, Henry Onwahamba on Facebook says, the only thing that will bring an end to this insecurity is for the masses and real security experts that are not partisan carefully and holistically finding out why is this insecurity always at the rising points during election season like now and subside immediately after election. As for people outside the northern part of Nigeria, should as a matter of urgency take religion and ethnic sentiment, quite a long message there. Ikone says this present APC administration is not ready to fight terrorism. There is need to restructure our security architecture and seek the services of security experts if they are serious in the fight against insecurity. APC has failed Nigerians. Chinedu Mokava says, good morning, Mrs. C. and Chikwe Udensi. It's quite unfortunate at the level of insensitivity of this present administration as it regards economy and security. Well, if they don't... okay. I got twisted. But let's do the calls now, if we can.
Good morning, Mr. C. Good morning, Mr. Udensi.
Good morning.
My name is Enoch Chikwe.
Welcome.
As the security expert here, what the military was telling the act of insecurity or what to said. My opinion is this: the government is not serious and is holistic in fighting insecurity in the country. It treats the terrorists with its law. The extent of granting the supported terrorists take pardon. Lately, people who have killed thousands of people, kidnapped many, displaced many, and deserve property, and they are still on them. What has happened to the Ghana state? Why not explore every possible means to fight the terrorism, like spreading substance that can weaken them, and then the military will move in to arrest them. Because they are likely to reach the U.S. military, including like Great Forest, and unfamiliar territory to rescue just one person of their own. The president set out to talk on the security. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Mr. C. Please, Mr. C.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Okay, you would react, sir. Let's have this caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning, please.
Good morning, from afar. Good morning, Chikwe Udensi.
Good morning, sir.
Honestly, I'm amazed at your brilliance. You are quite an intelligent person. There's something you said about the escapees from the prison. And of course, when I just look at it, it just gelled that the commanders of that terrorists, they are out. And the president must do something. But my concern this morning is about the incompetence of Yemen. Honestly, I totally agree with you that Yemen is quite incompetent and he should be kicked out. But my worry is that there is this allegation that you are sponsoring Ukebu. Please, can you tell us about this story? God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me look at the security aspect of it. Mr. C, do you know that we have information, we have clear information that government and government agencies, from the second day of the kidnap of 100 and something Nigerians on the railway from Abuja to Kaduna, do you know that government has remained aware of the location of these victims? Government is aware, the agencies are aware of the actual locations of these victims. 100 and something days after they were kidnapped, taken forcibly, and 8 persons killed. Government remains aware of the location of these criminals. The question is, it is very disturbing question is, where lies the SOPs, the security SOPs, the standard operating procedure? We have a standard operating procedure. How come that when it comes to Nigeria, every known facet of indices is left to the dogs?
All right.
How come it doesn't happen?
Okay. Well,
this is very disturbing, and it has to do with this. The other question is that I'm sponsoring Ms. Ukebu. I spoke to Ms. Ukebu last, around 2016. I have not spoken to him again until a few days ago when I asked him what is going on, and he told me this is what is going on. I said, how can I be sponsoring Ukebu? If I am sponsoring Ukebu, a Yemere will not be there. Don't you think I have the capacity to remove a Yemere? If I'm sponsoring Ukebu, a Yemere would remove.
When you say you have the capacity, is it a one-man show? Are you the one running the party alone?
I have the strategy, not the party issue. I have the strategy to remove him. If Ukebu, according to him, is parading judgments, don't you think I have the instrumentality of the law to effect those judgments? I wouldn't take that route. I will take a route of peace. When I spoke to Mr. Ukebu, I asked him for us to look for peaceful means of settling this matter. Especially if you consider that it's less than 1 year for us to have the next congresses. The next congresses of the party is coming in less than 1 year. It will not be right for us to start creating problems in the party. And also, this is an election year. If you create that problem in the party, how do we go into election? We might disagree with Mr. Yemere in several areas, but more importantly, we shall look at the benefits the Abians are going to get from removing this PDP government. That benefit of the public outweighs our personal benefit.
Okay.
So the truth is that I'm not sponsoring Ukebu. Ukebu has the capacity to sponsor himself. Don't demean Ukebu by saying Chikwe Udensi is sponsoring him. No. If I am sponsoring him, he would have seen the effect by now. It would have been very swift. It would have been very effective. But I'm not sponsoring him. That's the position.
Chikwe Udensi, thank you for coming through. And let's leave it here. Time always not a friend having you come through.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Mr. Faye.
That's how much we can take on Open Parliament this beautiful morning. Keep it a date, same time, same station next week. We could do so tomorrow for the Thursday edition. My name is Mr. C. We'll take you to the newsroom for the news at 10.
The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022 at Sheraton's Hotels, Abuja. The biggest bang of the season is about to go down. It's the ABN TV Service Awards 2022